Hey, it's Michael Angelo Caruso. I am currently Public Image Chair for Rotary Zone 29, and I want to offer 12 ways that you can use social media to amp up your events, get more people to attend, and create a more vital Rotary culture in your part of the world. So grab a pen and let's get started. Before I start with number one, I want to encourage everyone to join the Get the Word Out Now group on Facebook, where we're offering valuable tips on how to grow your club, raise more money for Rotary, and get attention for the greatest service organization in the world. Okay, are you ready? Let's start with the number one way to use social media to get people to events, and that is a save the date campaign. Save the date campaigns are a valuable way to get impressions, which advertisers say you need, and you need a certain number of them in order to populate your district assembly or your district conference. I prefer to use 100-day campaigns for events. That allows me to stage out that number of impressions for 3+ months. And of course, an impression can be anything that references the date. So a save the date campaign, the save the date part of the campaign, doesn't have to offer any details. You're just saying, we're going to have the best district conference ever. It's on May 9th. Mark your calendar now. Or we've just announced the venue for the hotel for the event. The registration's not open yet, but we wanted you to know. Save the date, right? And so by using save the date messaging and getting a number of impressions with that part of the campaign, you can create excitement and amp up registrations for the event. Number two, you want to use something called sneezers. Now, this term was put forth in Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point. Malcolm Gladwell believes that sneezers have a unique talent among the population. They have the ability to infect other people with their excitement and enthusiasm. So it's important when you're marketing an event to identify, say, your Facebook kings and queens so that they can help push out your messaging, because they're more persuasive and somehow more influential than most people. This is a fantastic way to make sure that people are responding to the messages that go out, because people pay attention to certain people. Idea number three for using social media to amp up your events is something I call prophecy polls. This is a function that you can use on Facebook. So when you're getting ready to create your post, you click the options of all the different things that you can do in the post. It's where you have a chance to go live or post a photo or check in, right? You want to click polls, and that gives you a chance to ask questions of people related to your event. So if you're having a district conference, the poll can be something like, what's the most important part of a conference for you? The social activities, the speakers, the venue, or Rotary education. And you give people a chance to respond. Now, the results of the poll aren't nearly as important as the fact that people are participating in the poll. You've also, of course, mentioned the date of the district conference and that people can register now. So it, again, generates that excitement that you're looking for when you're trying to populate an event. Technique number four for using social media is something called whisper campaigns. Look, event marketing has always been the art of fibbing. You're actually promoting an event that hasn't happened yet, which means you are lying about everything that you say in the literature and in the brochure. You don't know how many people are going to come for sure. You don't know that the speaker is amazing until they actually show up and are amazing. You don't know that the food's going to be delicious, but you know that the venue has a reputation for serving delicious food. So you're creating an image of something that hasn't actually happened yet. And you can use something called whisper campaigns to further that goal. Whisper campaigns are something like, I hear we're going to have an international speaker at the event. Or I hear we're not having chicken on Friday night. It can be humorous, right? Anything that kind of titillates people about the event is fair game. Tip number 5 for populating your next Rotary event is just simple, clever messaging. One way to do that is through something called infographics. Now, you can create your own infographic using an easy software program like Canva, or you can just go to Facebook on your mobile, and as you're choosing a background, you can type in the message into the infographic. And then once it's there, you can either actually post it and then take a screenshot of it, or you can create a screenshot before you post it. In any case, you now have an infographic that can be pushed out and shared. People get tired of receiving the same email with the same subject line over and over again. So Facebook infographics are a great way to break up the monotony. You can also use overlapping messaging to get the same job done. So you're sending out an email campaign and a Facebook campaign and on Twitter and on Instagram and word of mouth at club meetings. So it's all happening simultaneously. This is called overlapping messaging. You also want to use email to push people to the Facebook page. You're going to use Facebook to push people to the registration page. Now, eventually, all roads lead to the registration page. But remember, we're after that iterative messaging. So that we want people on a bunch of platforms taking in these messages and being promoted, having the conference promoted to them. Tip number 6 for using social media is to promote your speakers independently. That's the twist. The web registration page will always list the speakers. That's pretty common. But what happens when you start promoting each speaker independently as part of your overall campaign? So the entire Facebook post would say, our keynote speaker Friday night is so-and-so. She's excellent at this. She's been featured on such and such TV program, right? And now you're like going into motion, almost like an advertising company, a public relations firm for the speaker on Friday night. You do the same thing for the speaker on Saturday morning and Saturday night. And what it does is, again, it creates different degrees and nuances in your messaging. It helps break up the messaging. Instead of saying register for the conference, each of the posts has a different type of flavor to it. You have a chance to post the headshot of that attractive speaker, right? I say attractive because every speaker is attractive in their own way. And so now it looks like a bigger thing than it really is, this district conference of yours. Tip number 7 is to use hashtags. Now look, I know a lot of people still aren't using Twitter. Don't know why. Not worried about it. Don't try to get people to use Twitter. Just use hashtags effectively on Twitter. And I don't care if the hashtag Flintstones in your district aren't using Twitter yet. It doesn't mean that it can't be effective. Media loves Twitter. So you want to make sure you hashtag the local newspaper publications and radio shows because they need to know that you're bringing in speakers from the outside. They might be interested in interviewing those speakers and thereby publicizing your Rotary District Conference on the airwaves. We also know for tip number 8 that you want to share images, of course. I call this image management. Be sure to use high definition photographs and interesting pictures. Do not use run-of-the-mill pedestrian photographs. You're not going to get the kind of impact that you need. Tip number 9 for using social media to promote your events is to do something I call piggyback messaging. So for example, the conference committee's got to visit the site several times. Each time someone from the conference committee visits the site, they should check in on Facebook and say, hey, I'm here to do a site survey for the upcoming Rotary District Conference. It's on such and such a date, and you can register here. So you're using the check-in as a mechanism to promote the district conference. Another clever technique is to identify popular threads on Facebook. Let's say people are complaining about something on Facebook and it gets a lot of attention. Complaints always get a lot of attention. And then somewhere in the page, scroll down, you put in, hey, this is a good thing to bring up at the district conference, which is on May 9th at the such and such venue. You can register here. And now you've messaged everybody in that unproductive thread about something productive, which is how to attend your most popular district event of the year. Tip number 10 for promoting events is to allow virtual attendees. Now, there are many ways to do this. One easy way to do it is to just tell somebody for $25 you're going to provide them with a video of all of the keynote speakers. That's one way to do it. You don't have to charge money for this. You can just say we have virtual attendees and we're going to be streaming to them. which is tip number 11. We will be streaming video during the event. And that, of course, isn't so much about selling registrations to this year's event. It's more about selling registrations to next year's event, because if this year's event is successful, more people will come to next year's event. So before I give you number 12 of the 12 social media tips, let's run them down one more time. Tip number 1 is to create registration buzz with a save the date campaign. It gets the campaign going early, gets people excited. Even if they don't have all the details, they're getting idea that something's about to happen. Tip number 2 is to use sneezers. Find the influencers in your district. Facebook, kings and queens, people that have impact and influence, and make sure they're messaging for you, whether they're on the conference committee or not. Tip number 3 is to do event shaping buzz like prophecy polls. Get people to participate in these polls and tell you what they like in a speaker or in a topic, and then it creates excitement. Number 4 is rumor buzz. Use whisper campaigns. Remember, marketing is the illusion of something that hasn't happened yet. So you want to get people excited by tipping them off in advance, almost like a secret thing. I hear this might be happening. And of course, never ever fib to people. Number 5 is to use clever messaging like infographics, or use various platforms to drive people to other platforms. Use Facebook to drive people to, use email to drive people to Facebook, and use Facebook to drive people to websites. Also, don't forget to use a Facebook event page, because Facebook will throttle all exterior links. Facebook doesn't want people leaving the platform, so route people on Facebook to the Facebook event page, which then in turn sends them to the external link, your registration page. Tip number 6 is to promote the speakers independently. Tip number 7 is to use hashtags. Get your Twitter and Instagram game going, because a lot of people are using those platforms. They're very popular. Media especially loves Twitter. Tip number 8 is image management with high def, interesting photographs. Do not post average photographs. That will be an indicator that your conference, your event is about to be average. Tip number 10 is to do virtual attendees and allow them to experience the event from the comfort of their own home. Tip number 11 is video streaming during the event, which is more about promoting next year's program. And then finally, tip number 12 for using social media to drive registrations for your events is to publish the presentations online. You can do this in your LinkedIn Rotary page. You can do it in various ways, but almost all the speakers will offer their slideshow, their slide deck to you, and you can share it with people online. My name is Michael Angelo Caruso. I'm so proud to be a member of the greatest service organization in the world. Don't forget to join the Get the Word Out Now group on Facebook and get tips for growing your club, raising more money, and getting attention for Rotary. I welcome your comments. Thanks, everybody.